I think most people only speak Hindi. Are you sure? Okay. Anyone who needs to listen to Hindi, you can sit with, what's your name, Prabhu? What is it? Krishna Keshav. You can sit with Krishna Keshav, Prabhu. Anyone who needs to hear Hindi. Asya pratihatam chakram prito amma shalach asna shalat chalat prito amanasas chalat vartate bhagavan arko yavatapati goganai Asya praptihatam chakram prito amanasa chalat vartate bhagavan arko yavatapati goganai Asya, of this king. Oh. Aprapti hatam, not being impeded. Chakram, the circle of influence. Prito, of King Prithu. Amanasa chalat, up to Manasa mountain. Vartate, remains. Bhagavan, the most powerful. Arka, sun god. Yavat, just as. Tapati, shines. Goganai, with rays of light. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Just as the sun god expands his shining rays up to the Arctic region without impedance, the influence of King Prithu will cover all tracts of land up to the Arctic region and will remain undisturbed as long as he lives. Purport. Although the Arctic region is not visible to ordinary persons, the sun shines there without impediment. Just as no one can check the sunshine from spreading all over the universe, no one can check the influence and reign of King Prithu, which would remain undisturbed as long as he lived. The conclusion is that the sunshine and the sun god cannot be separated. nor could King Prithu and his ruling strength be separated. His rule over everyone would continue without disturbance. Thus the king could not be separated from his ruling power. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Rati Swam Bhadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sarvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschachare Shatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Ye Ye Mahanta Kilaham Sabhuta Jagat Praviti Karmartanagata Tete Taruchistani Sevano Me Kartum Vishuram Rachanam Pravinaham Makun Kodati Vachalam Pangolangayate Girim Ya Kripataraham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Durgame Patimainantasya Sakalat Parakate Muhu Svakripaya Stidanena Santa Santavalambanam. And we're entering into a section of the Srimad Bhagwatam, which is speaking about the glories of Maharaj Prithu. And this is actually before Maharaj Prithu's pastimes even begin. This is a prediction as to what will come. And there's many lessons we can draw out of this section. One of which is the blessings which we can gain from those who are in a position of elevated consciousness. And the second is the humility of Maharaj Prithu, and recognizing that although one may be blessed, one has to also be willing to undertake the austerity in order to access those blessings. And then finally, the third is when one is fixed in transcendental consciousness, specifically from this verse, nothing can hide that transcendental consciousness. And that we, as members of the Krishna consciousness movement, our primary service to humanity is to be fixed in transcendental consciousness. So the first lesson is speaking about the blessings which the professional reciters are offering Maharaj Prithu, predicting what his future will be. In our own life in Krishna consciousness, we should organize our life in such a way that we are simply interested in counting the blessings of Vaishnavas. We see in the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that when Mahaprabhu is thinking of going to Vrindavan, first he requested the blessings of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya to do so. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had just liberated Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya from the position of speaking impersonal philosophy, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was so inspired that he changed his verse, Mukti Pade Sadaya Bhak. He said, let me change it to Bhakti Pade Sadaya Bhak. He wanted to change the meaning of that verse. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him, no, these are the words of Vyasadeva. Mukti can also mean Bhakti, just let it be. You don't need to change the message of the Bhagwatam. So actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because of his conversion of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, in one sense, although Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was older in age, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was ultimately Vande Gurun Isha Bhaktam Isham Ishvaratarakam Tat Prakashas Tata Shaktir Krishna Chaitanya Samjakam. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikatir Ladini Shaktir Asma Ekap Atman Bhuvi Purara Deham Betam Gatoto Chaitam Akyam Prakatamaruna Tatvayam Chaikyamatam Radha Bhava Duti Suvalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupa. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the combined form of Radha and Krishna. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikatir Ladini Shaktir Asma. Although Radha and Krishna are always existing in separate positions for the sake of Ladini, exchange of pleasure, Ekap Atman Bhuvi Puraradeham Betam Gatoto. Those two have once again become one. Ekam Atman Bhuvi Puraradeham Betam Gatoto Chaitam Akyam Prakatamaruna Tatvayam Chaikyamatam Radhabhava Duti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. That same Krishna who is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagwatam as Ete Shamsa Kalam Pumsam, Krishna's too Bhagavan Swayam. Raghunath, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has declared Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be that same Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of God. He's non-different from Krishna, but what's the difference? Radha Bhava Duti Suvalitam. He's covered with the emotions and the complexion of Srimati Radharani. And what's the purpose? Chirada dam dam nijagupta vitam suprema namamrita apyadara aparama yovidatara gora krishno janebhyas tamaham prapadye. Chirada dam dam, that which has not been done in a very long chira. Chirada dam dam Nijagupta Vitam. That which has not been given in a very long time is being given. And what is being given? Nijagupta Vitam. His own Gupta Vitam, his own confidential wealth, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving. Through what? Suprema Namamrita Abhidara. Through the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in a position of superiority to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, but because of wanting to show the behavior of a Vaishnava, wanting to show the attitude of a Vaishnava, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took a position of subordination to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu leaves for Vrindavan, he seeks the blessings of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. But why is he seeking the blessings of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya? Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is apparently in an inferior position. He's seeking the blessings of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya because anyone who has developed faith in the process of Nam Sankirtan, anyone who has developed faith in the principles of pure devotional service, they are worthy for us to take blessings from. So the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, describes that one can receive blessings in a variety of number of ways. One is one can receive blessings through that which is spoken. One can receive blessings from instructions, and one can receive blessings from a heartfelt wish that you may be successful. So we can see that because of the behavior of Maharaj Prithu, and because of the indication of who he would be, he's attracting blessings for what he would do. So when we're in the society of devotees, we should try to behave and conduct ourselves in such a way that our mood of service and our mood of surrender is constantly attracting the blessings of all varieties of Vaishnavas. Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta dishasti chet pranatabis chabadantamisham shushoshaya bhajana bignam and anyamanya nindari sunyam ita ipsita sangalabhya. There's three varieties of Vaishnavas, those who simply have Krishna chanting on their tongue. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Satyaraj Khan that anyone who chants Krishna once, you should serve them. Anyone who simply is trying to chant Hare Krishna within our mind, we should respect them. Anyone who is dikshyasti chet pranitabhisya bhajantamisam, anyone who's come to the point of accepting diksha, not only should we respect them, but we should offer our obeisances to them. Why? Vanshakalpa tarumbhisya kripa sindhura evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Because the Vaishnavas can fulfill all of our desires. I remember when I was first coming to a temple in America, I was visiting the temple and there was this person who was cultivating me. And I told them, I would like to join a temple like this. I would like to live in a temple like this full time. And they told me, if you stick around these people, they'll fulfill all of your desires. So we can see that in our own life, we may come through, likely you all came through youth preaching, correct? College preaching? Everyone? Devotees mostly come from youth preaching here?
Yes.
Try. Are you a youth preacher? Who's the youth preacher here? All of them. So all of them came from youth preaching, correct? Mostly. So we can see that initially we may come for some material motive, right? We'll get free from stress. And the Vaishnavas teach us how to get free from stress. But then they also trick us. It's called a bait and switch. They give us a bait and then they switch it. But you can see that once you become freed from stress, once they give you the tools in order to improve your life materially, you have a realization similar to the devotee of Lord Shiva who approached Sanatana Goswami for the Chintamani gem. If this Chintamani gem doesn't mean so much to Sanatana Goswami, then that he's willing to throw it in a dustbin, then what is his real wealth? So we begin to wonder, If this is the first thing which they're giving me, what else do they have to give? So then we become more interested. And then we can see that all of our desires for service, they gradually become fulfilled by the grace of the Vaishnavas, through the blessings of the Vaishnavas. So those who are chanting, those who are initiated, and then finally those who are nindati sunyam ipsita sangalabhya. Those who are free from the propensity to criticize others, we should offer our respect to all of them in different degrees. Those who are free from the propensity to criticize others, we should actually surrender to them as our guru. When Gauranga Prabhu took up the service of being the GBC, Radhanath Maharaj told him, stay close to Gopal Krishna Maharaj and Jayapataka Maharaj, because in the midst of my years of being a GBC, I've seen both of them have never criticized anyone in that service. So we should find those devotees who are free from the propensity to criticize others, and we should seek their blessings. But the second lesson is, Maharaj Prithu, although he's receiving blessings, he makes the point in the next chapter that I have not qualified to actually have received these blessings. Now that I've received them, let me do something about it. And him deferring these initial praises actually bring out more praises. This sets the example for us that we may have all the blessings in the world. We may have received the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. We may have been, we may be in the association of devotees, and we may have all opportunities for service. But we have to find it within ourselves to cultivate the sincerity necessary in order to actually realize those blessings. So it's one thing to receive blessings, it's another thing to realize the blessings. To receive blessings comes from the heartfelt wishes of the Vaishnavas. To realize blessings requires practical application of the process of Krishna consciousness. Kriti sadhya bhavat sadhya bhavasa sadanabhita nityasiddhasya bhavasya prakritam hridya sadhyata. Because what is the greatest blessing which the Vaishnavas are giving us? They are giving us the opportunity to develop love for Krishna. And the process of Krishna consciousness is the process of sadhana bhakti, those activities which most easily bring about love for Krishna. This is how Rupa Goswami defines sadhana bhakti. Those activities which you engage in with your senses, which bring about nityasiddhasya bhavasya, which bring about the eternal propensity within our heart to love Krishna. The chanting of the holy names, coming to Mangalartik, serving Vaishnavas, taking prasadam, all these things have the potential to awaken Krishna consciousness, to awaken Shura Shatva Visheshatmam Prema Shuryam Susamyabhak, to attract that ray of prema. But if we don't apply the process with attention, then although the blessings may be received, they may not be realized. So we sing every morning the second line, Shri Guru Charana Padma Chitete Korea Akhya. No, wait. Shri Guru Charana Padma. First line of Guru. What's that? A? No. The first line of Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Bando Muri Swavadana Mate. Swadhana means with careful attention. I worship the lotus feet of the spiritual master with careful attention. So we should look at what is the instructions of the spiritual master which allows us to realize the blessings of the spiritual master. If you don't come to Mangalartik, if you don't chant 16 rounds, if you don't distribute Srila Prabhupada's books, if you don't take exclusively Krishna Prasadam, that means no food cooked by non-devotees. If you don't follow these things, you will not have the spiritual strength to chant Hare Krishna without offense. And if you chant Hare Krishna with offense, what is the chance of love for Krishna developing in your heart? So we realize the blessings of those in high consciousness through the application of the instruction which is given by those in such consciousness. And what is the byproduct of that? The byproduct of that is through our association. Titikshva Karunaka Suridar Sarvadehina Ajata Shatravashanta Sadhavo Sadhu Bhushana. By accepting the austerity of expanding the Sankirtan mission, by accepting the austerity of applying the instructions of the spiritual master in order to realize the blessings of the spiritual master, one is decorated with Vaishnav qualities. And this is what we see in the life of Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri, when he left Vrindavan, he was on a mission to serve his deity Gopal. And Madhavendra Puri was willing to accept personal inconvenience, scarcity of resources, and unforeseen obstacles in the midst of executing his service to Gopal. Srila Prabhupada writes in the commentary to that section that Madhavendra Puri's example is the standard of pure devotional service. If anyone wants to know what it means to expand the Sankirtan mission, study the pastime of Madhavendra Puri and going to receive Gopal, going to serve the mission of Gopal. That is the definition of pure devotional service. So when Madhavendra Puri goes, he arrives at this temple, Kirachora Gopinath. And the Kirachora, who's been to Ramuna, been to the Kirachora Gopinath temple? Anyone? 1, 2, 3. Kirachora Gopinath. 4. I've been there one time, and I got to take the Kir. It was very nice. There's also the Samadhi of Rashikananda, and then there's also the Samadhi of Madhavendra Puri and the birthplace of Baladev Vijayabhushan in this place. So all of you can go there one day. So Madhavendra Puri, when he gets to Ramuna, he hears that there's this special sweet rice which is offered to Gopinath on a daily basis, and he desires to want to taste this sweet rice so he can offer it to Gopal. But as soon as he thinks this, he says, this is the mentality of sense gratification. Forget this. Let me give this up. So then he leaves, feeling a bit ashamed of himself, and he starts fasting. And he's chanting in a very quiet place in the village somewhere. And he was chanting all night, chanting. And when the pujari went to sleep that night, he had a dream. And Gopinath told him, I have hidden a cup of sweet rice for my devotee Madhavendra Puri. Please go and get it and get him and let him have it. So then Madhavendra Puri, he gets the sweet rice. The pujari wakes up, he takes a shower, goes on the altar, and sure enough, the cup of sweet rice is hidden there. He goes out into the street and he says, Madhavendra Puri, Madhavendra Puri, Madhavendra Puri. Gopinath has stolen some sweet rice for you. So then he brings this sweet rice to Madhavendra Puri, and Madhavendra Puri is overwhelmed with ecstasy, knowing that Gopinath has reciprocated in such a way. And then Madhavendra Puri starts taking this sweet rice. And then he breaks it, keeps it in a cloth, and then he honors the clay on a daily basis to remember the love of Gopinath. So he went on the mission to get sandalwood, actually, for his deity of Gopal. And being afraid that he would attract attention for his standard of service, Madhavendra Puri tried to escape. But word spread and Madhavendra Puri became famous for this pastime of Kirachora, of Gopinath stealing the sweet rice for him. This is why the deity is now known as Kirachora Gopinath. So when we are actually plugged into the process of devotional service which has been given by the Guru Parampara, and we execute that standard of service in the midst of personal inconvenience, scarcity of resources, and unforeseen obstacles, then the influence of our consciousness and the influence of our service cannot be hidden, just as the sun cannot be hidden in the sky. And what the Lord reciprocates with is He decorates us with Vaishnava qualities which spontaneously attract people to the process of Krishna consciousness. So therefore, this pastime of Prithu Maharaj has many lessons which we can dig by carefully contemplating the pastimes, carefully meditating on the character of Prithu Maharaj. And so today I offer you these 3 lessons: that our life is dependent upon blessings. We need to undergo and apply the instructions which have been given by the spiritual master in order to receive and realize the blessings which are given by the Guru Parampara. And then by undergoing those austerities and applying those instructions, Krishna blesses us with qualities which cannot be hidden and will spontaneously attract people to the process of Krishna consciousness. And this is what it means to be a Madhyama Adhikari. Ishvara Taradineshu Balisesu Dvisatsucha Prema Maitri Kripopiksha Yak Karoti Samadhyamaha. And all of us should be very interested in becoming Madhyama Adhikaris. Because that was the mood of Srila Prabhupada, that was the mood of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, that is the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Prabhupada left India to preach Krishna consciousness, and then in America, Rukmini Dwarkanath told him, go back to India and preach Krishna consciousness. So no matter where we are in the world, whether we're in America, whether we're in India, wherever we are, the ultimate purpose of our life is to be engaged in the process of Krishna consciousness, to realize the blessings which have been given by Srila Prabhupada, to come to the stage of being authentic and effulgent Madhyama Adhikaris. Hare Krishna. So I have about 20 minutes. I wanted to intentionally end earlier for the purpose of leaving space for any questions or discussion. I like questions and discussions because our whole process of Krishna consciousness is based upon it. Dadati pratigrinati goyam adyakti prichati bhongte bojayate chaiva sadvitam pratilakshanam. And I noticed that in most temples in the world, devotees like to sleep during Bhagwatam class. But if you give them an opportunity to talk about Bhagwatam, then they're less likely to sleep. And then when prasadam comes, no one sleeps at all. So if we can start getting ready for prasadam by talking now, then our appetite will be stronger and we'll be more excited to go take prasadam. Hare Krishna. Your name, Prabhu? What's that one word? Anant Manohar. Okay. Yeah. Have I understood your question properly? You're saying that sometimes in a position of management, you have to correct devotees and you're worried that there may be an offense. I think that myself being in a position of management, I found that being in management is helpful because it allows you to constantly evaluate your intentions. So what we can do is we can see that before we have to enforce the law, we should see that we are able to love the devotees first. Srila Prabhupada said that this mission would not expand on the basis of organization and administration. This mission expands through love and trust. So actually, the best way to correct devotees is through the affection which we show them. If we show them affection, if we care for them, if we are an example of the 6 loving exchanges amongst the devotees, making it a point to go out of our way to be affectionate to the devotees who are under our care. If a correction has to happen, then they can know this is coming from a place of love. And I have found that corrections are best done in private rather than in public. So I found that if I'm noticing a tendency in a devotee, rather than correcting them the first time I see it, I wait and see if I see it a second time. And then if I see it a third time, generally I call them into a private space and I just tell them, Prabhu, I'm noticing this, and for your own growth in Krishna consciousness, I suggest that you take care of this thing. But if we are constantly functioning on the platform of love and trust, then if in the midst of that we have to correct devotees, that correction they'll also understand it's just coming from a place of love and affection. Just like a parent has to correct their children, but it's not coming from a place of envy, it's coming from a place of genuine love. And that's because all of their dealings are so full of affection that when there has to be a dealing which may not be so palpable, when they engage in that correction or they engage in that chastisement, the child is able to understand the intention of the parent. So we should see that as managers, we're creating an atmosphere of love and trust amongst the devotees we're caring for. And they should be able to open their heart, they should be able to express their ideas, they should be able to take risks in service. Prabhupada said that the primary role of a manager is to create fresh challenges for the devotees. So if we can create fresh challenges for devotees and then have all of our relationships in the ashram be functioning on the basis of love and trust, then even if a correction comes, we may correct devotees in a way which may not necessarily be verbal. It may just be through our own example, they understand that something has to reform. When our first response is love and trust rather than administration and organization. If love and trust is there, administration and organization will happen automatically. Is that okay? Ananta Manohar Prabhu. I think you know all these things better than me though, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Please, I want to hear from all the yellow devotees.
My question is that you said that we worship the Guru. What do you like?
Sorry, what was that?
You mentioned that we should worship the lotus feet of Guru with full attention.
Yes.
What is the meaning of
Yeah.
full attention?
So I just like full attention is having the structure of the spiritual master. But sometimes seeing in this form, we follow the instruction of the spiritual master. We neglect the other like structure or like other and also we are offending some devotee in the instruction or the
Yeah. If I understood your question properly, you were saying that in the midst of serving the instruction of the spiritual master, sometimes we see we can neglect things like dealing with devotees properly, morning program, doing services in the temple, all for the sake of serving the mission of the spiritual master. Is that right? I would say that we have to redefine what the mission of the spiritual master is. If we're thinking in terms of prayas, initially, we'll behave in the way which you're mentioning. But if we're thinking in terms of what's best for the long-term application of the instruction of the spiritual master, then we'll have a holistic understanding that I can't neglect chanting 16 rounds a day, ideally before 10 a.m. I can't neglect studying Srimad Bhagwatam and Srila Prabhupada's books for an hour a day. I can't neglect going to Mangalartik in the morning program on a daily basis. I can't neglect the relationships which I have with devotees. And I can't neglect the services which I have in the temple. All of these things are part of the mission of the spiritual master. And they're actually what will allow us to execute the specific instruction of the spiritual master. If we're executing this instruction of the spiritual master but not coming to Mangalartik, eventually we won't have the strength to actually carry out that instruction. So we need to see that we're following the basics. You'll always win with the basics. Just remember, what do all of the great souls, what do all of our leaders in our movement set the example of? Mangalartik, 16 rounds, 4 regulative principles, going out on book distribution, dealing with devotees in a loving and friendly way. They set a practical example of that, and the practical result is that they're serving Srila Prabhupada no matter what physical, mental, or societal condition there may be. Because Krishna consciousness is a hoitaki, a pratiyata. It's beyond material conditions. But we have to see that we're properly engaged in that process of devotional service. Then we'll have the strength to transcend material conditions. So I would say it's just a matter of redefining the mission of the spiritual master. We should see all of these things as a holistic parts of the overall mission of the spiritual master. Our most important service in Krishna consciousness is just seeing that we're able to show up for Srimad Bhagwatam class on a daily basis. If we can make it a point to be at Bhagwatam class on a daily basis, and what does it take to be at Bhagwatam class on a daily basis? With attention, it requires we're chanting 16 rounds, going to the morning program, going out on book distribution. If we're doing all of those things and we show up to Srimad Bhagwatam class, what will be the result? Jnane prayasya mudapasya namanta veva jivanti san mukaritam upatiya vartam stane stita shutigatam tanuvagma nobir e prayaso jita diso pisachai lokyam. You will conquer Krishna through that process of hearing. But what will give us the quality of hearing is us applying all the principles around the process of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this jivanti means simply stay alive to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Simply stay alive to make sure that on a daily basis you can show up for Srimad Bhagavatam class with full attention and relish the message and contribute to the discussion. And if you come out of the Srimad Bhagavatam class with more questions than you do answers, that means you're doing a good job of hearing. Because it means you're leaving the discussion with something to search for. If we lose our mood of a tato brahma jignasyat and the process of being assimilated into the institution of ISKCON, then we're missing the point of ISKCON. The point of ISKCON is to bring out a searching spirit, not bring out a contemplative, not a contemplative, but a complacent spirit. Our being in ISKCON should bring out a searching spirit. We should be searching for Krishna. So when we leave Bhagavatam, there should be some message which we're searching for at the end of it. Something that we're carrying with us. That was extremely diverted from your original question, but I hope you can put all the pieces together as to what I'm meaning. Hindi team? Team Hindi. Question? Question or reflection?
During chanting, our mind is agitated. So how to control that agitation?
Yeah, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that if the mind is going in one direction and the name is going in another direction, then we're under the influence of adaushina, which means indifference to the holy name. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur prescribes that we can overcome that by chanting in the association of souls who have a taste for chanting the holy names. So we should be very eager for advanced association. And if we don't have that association of some exalted soul, then we can at least remember those souls while we're chanting. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur also recommends that we make it a point to chant in a mood of great repentance. If we feel our mind is going here and there, we should just pray to Krishna. Krishna, my mind is so crazy, my mind is so chanchala, it can't be trusted. Please allow me to hear each syllable of your name so I can develop love for you. We can pray like that and be repenting with our lack of ability, and then just pray for Krishna to descend and show mercy to us in our chanting. Is that okay? Okay.
Within this how to remain fixed, which I asked all life. Can you explain the question how to remain all life?
I think I need to ask all you that question. How to remain fixed in the brahmachari ashram for your whole life? Well, I've only been in the brahmachari ashram for 8 years, so I have a lifetime to go. But I'll repeat things which I've heard from Radheshyam Prabhu. My understanding is that there are 3 things which can help us in remaining in the brahmachari ashram. First one is strong sadhana. We should not slack on our chanting of 16 rounds, attending the morning program, reading Srila Prabhupada's books. Second one is we should have extremely affectionate dealings with other brahmacharis. We should make it a point to cultivate loving relationships with other devotees. We should go out of our way to do it, actually. We should make it a priority in our life to hear and chant in the association of devotees and genuinely care for the devotees, spiritually, not sentimentally, but spiritually. That means speaking about Krishna, remembering Krishna, taking vows during the month of Kartik where we're inspiring each other to read something in each other's company. And the third one is finding a service which you can live for and you can die for. And there's a fourth one: honest avoidance of the opposite sex. If you really want to remain in the brahmachari ashram, you should cultivate respectful, honest avoidance of the opposite sex. In India, that's quite easy because the culture is there. But still, we see that if we cheat ourselves, we can miss that opportunity even though we're in the most favorable environment to do it. So 4 things: strong sadhana, affectionate relationships, a service we can live for and we can die for, and strict, honest avoidance of the opposite sex. These 4 things can protect our consciousness and allow us to remain strong in the brahmachari ashram. And Radheshyam Prabhu says that someone doesn't become a brahmachari by birth, someone becomes a brahmachari by training. So we can cultivate these 4 principles in our own life. Is that okay? Yeah. You're all great souls. I feel very fortunate to have come and gotten all of your association. Okay. Oh.
So when we offer something to the deity, and while cooking or while preparing, sometimes the temptation to enjoy it comes. So people say that you cannot offer it now. So how to handle such situation?
That's a good question. I would say that we should do our best. The process of sadhana bhakti is a preparation stage or a practice stage. We can't expect our offerings to be like, trying to think of Raghunandana Thakur. Raghunandana Thakur was the son of Mukunda in Srikand, and he was told to offer a laddu to Gopal. And when he offered that, it was Gopinath, to a Gopinath deity. And his father told him offer the laddu, and the Gopinath was actually eating it because of his offering. So we shouldn't expect ourselves to be at that stage yet, but we should Pujala rag pata gaurava bange matala harijana bishaya range. We should hold that stage of perfection as the highest attainment in our life. We should worship it with our heart and mind and body and soul. And in the meantime, we should do the best that we can to offer something nice for Krishna. I would say more important than us kind of lusting over something which is cooking is not being lazy in the process of cooking for Krishna. I think that's even more dangerous for us. The principle of niyamagraha, that you have to go and cook an offering and you just put something together which is easy and fast. I would say that whenever we go into the kitchen while cooking, we should be thinking of the best thing we should possibly be serving for Krishna. And if we go in that spirit, Krishna appreciates that. I know when I cook a lot, when I go, before I'm in the kitchen, I've been thinking about what I'm going to cook at least 4 days before I went into the kitchen. So if we have that meditation and that contemplation before we cook, we want to do something nice for Krishna, then even if that thought appears, it will become so overwhelmed by our mood of service that immediately we can kick it out. Yad pada pankaja palasa vilasa bhaktya karmashrayam ugrantitam ugrayanti shanta tadvanna rikta matayo yatayo pirutas shoto ganastararanam bhajan vasudeva. That the ocean of devotional service can swallow the rivers of sense gratification because of the taste which comes from serving. So if that contemplation is there before going into the kitchen, before doing our service, then even if that pops up, the joy which we're feeling from preparing something for Krishna will immediately be able to kick it away. And then after it's offered to Krishna, you can take it. But I found that actually once it's offered to Krishna, you're more excited to serve it to the devotees than you are to take it yourself. That's another thing, is when we're preparing something, we may not be able to conceive what will be pleasing to Krishna, but we can think, I want to make something which will be very pleasing to the devotees when they honor it.
Yes, thank you so much, Guru. So, as you are giving such beautiful explanation, so what I came to is we all started our journey like this with this intention, keeping ourselves always thinking that how I'm going to serve Krishna today, and we used to serve also with this spirit only, that just prepare something and then we offer. And as you go on with those superiors and the authorities sometimes trust with some responsibility, you see that now you are keeping yourself busy like 10, 12 hours. And there are so many things always probably this need to be done, this need to be done, this need to be done, there has to be funds to bring. So many things, so many festivals. So we see that these simple things we get sometimes, now most of the time we are not taking prasadam with devotees, we are just taking it in our personal room sometimes because of time, work, and many things. So how to reinstate that reality which we started in the first place? How to revive that consciousness again? So if you could please.
Yeah. I would say just always go back to the basics. Always go back to the basics. Always go back to what would Gopal Krishna Maharaj do? What would be his spirit in serving? Things were never dry or old for him. That's my thought, is what would Gopal Krishna Maharaj do? He lived a life which was full of simple devotion while simultaneously managing problems which, if any of us had to manage, we would probably leave Krishna consciousness within a New York minute. So, and I would say that he set the example of someone who shows that when you have that life of simple devotion as your foundation and you don't compromise on the principles of simple practice of devotional service, chanting the holy names in a simple and humble way, that gives you the strength and the wherewithal to deal with problems which may seem insurmountable. So, because we're in Delhi, and I really appreciate everything that Gopal Krishna Maharaj has done for our movement, my answer to your question is, what would Gopal Krishna Maharaj do? You ask yourself that, and I think you'll find the answer through searching your heart in that way. Here's a disciple. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
So we would like to express our heartfelt gratitude for this surprise visit of this devotee. So we were all surprised, and I think Krishna was celebrated with all of us ceremony which we will offer today. And Krishna sent a Vaishnava, and he gave us so much of inspiring lesson. So we are extremely grateful to devotee, and we are taking the direct blessings of Srila Prabhupada that came out of it was not planned and it was like all of us. So we would like to express our gratitude by loudly chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Who has distributed most books yesterday?